Hey everybody, Backpack Hack here, coming at you with another trail tip. Got a question for you. If you ask the average person on the street what there is to see in the night sky, what would their answer be? I think most people would just have two answers: the moon and the stars. But there's a lot more to see in the night sky than just the moon and the stars. And a lot of people don't have a lot of interest in seeing the moon and the stars because it's the same every time they look at them. Yeah, the moon has phases and the stars change during the season, but it's boring. So a lot of people don't look at the night sky anymore. In fact, they're so intent on looking at their devices all the time. And it's sad that one of the most grandest sights that humanity has been able to see is the night sky. Now, I make no bones about it. Nighttime is my favorite time of any outdoor adventure I have. The activities of the day are done with. Whatever I planned on doing that day, whether it's a day hike or doing some slot canyon hiking or going swimming or bicycling or what have you, that's over with, but now I have the memory of that. My meal is finished, everything's cleaned up, my camp is ready for the night, and I really enjoy the nighttime, the closed-in feeling of being safe and secure wherever I'm staying at night. But step away from the city lights, step away from your campfire, get away from that blazing bright lantern that you have in your campsite. And if you're at a truly dark site away from the city lights, it's amazing what you can see in the night sky. Now, in order to truly appreciate looking at the sky at night, you're going to need a few things. Now, I'm only going to be covering what you can see with your own eyes, called unaided or naked eye astronomy. In other words, you can see this just by looking up at the night sky. Yes, a pair of binoculars would be great if you have a pair, but we're not talking about being able to use a telescope or anything like that. We're talking about wherever you are, all you got to do is look up, and you don't need anything else besides the ability to walk away from light and tip your head back. But there are a few tips to make it a lot more enjoyable. First off, a nice, comfortable chair. These gravity type chairs are great because you can recline and you aren't cranking your head back and getting a stiff neck by craning your head back to look at the night sky. Having a nice reclining chair makes it a whole lot more comfortable and easier to see all these things that are in the night sky. You also might need a good warm jacket, and if nothing else, a nice thick warm blanket, because it might get a little chilly at night. And to make it even more enjoyable, a cup of your favorite hot meal, whether it's hot chocolate or cider or something a little bit stiffer. One other thing you're going to need is a good low lumen flashlight. And when I mean low lumen, I mean a very, very low lumen. I don't even know if you can see that this flashlight is on. You don't want a great big huge bright flashlight that doubles as an aircraft landing light. You want something just enough to be able to see. A star chart is another thing you might want to get. And that way, if you have a low lumen flashlight, you can look at your star chart and find your way around the stars and the night sky. A flashlight that has like a red cover or red lens would be better yet, because red helps preserve your night vision. But with these simple items that you probably have already, you're ready to see what there is into the night sky. But before you do, you can't just walk away from your campsite and look up and see all this, because it takes a while for your eyes to adjust. Have you ever walked into a dark building from the bright sunlight, and it takes your eyes a while to adjust to really truly see inside that dark building? The same thing happens when you step away from your camp, when you get away from that lantern and that bright fire. It's going to take a little bit of time for your eyes to truly dark adapt. And this is anywhere from a 5 to a 20-minute process, depending on your eyesight, your age, and other conditions. But the longer you wait, the more you're going to see. So if you're one of those that think all you can see in the night sky is the moon and the stars, you're about to be surprised. So get your chair, get your blanket, get your drink, and let's go on an adventure. Since night generally starts at sunset, I'm going to include sunsets in this video. However, I'm not going to go into a great bunch of detail about them because we all know what they are. Using proper eye protection, the sun starts to flatten due to its light passing through a large slice of the Earth's atmosphere, and this flattening is visible as the sun approaches the horizon. If you are fortunate enough to watch a sunset over the ocean, pay close attention to the last glimmer of light from the sun. You might see what is called a green flash. The green color is caused by the extreme amount of atmosphere the final rays of the sun have to pass through to reach your eyes. If you have a large flat landmass east of you at sunset, or a large body of water, you might see the Earth's shadow in the atmosphere if the terrain west of you is high enough. As stars start to appear in the sky, a clear view might reveal what is called the zodiacal glow. This triangular patch of light is sunlight being reflected off of countless small dust particles that occupy the solar system plane. While the moon is visible during daylight hours, most people view the moon during the night because at night the moon becomes the brightest object in the sky. The two most obvious features about the moon are the phases and the physical features on the surface of the moon. As the moon orbits the Earth, its position relative to the Earth and the sun causes the light to increase for 2 weeks, then decrease for another 2 weeks. This change in relative position causes what we know as phases. The surface of the moon is covered by a mixture of light and dark areas. The light areas are called highlands, and the dark areas are known as seas. The name seas harken back to the days before the invention of the telescope, and observers thought that the featureless dark areas on the moon were actually seas of water. The scientific names of these dark areas start with the word mare, which is Latin for sea. While the unlit side of the moon is typically black, there are times you can faintly see the surface due to light being reflected off the Earth. Usually visible when the moon is closer to the sun than the Earth, the light you see coming from the dark side of the moon is called Earthshine. Occasionally, the moon will pass through the shadow of the Earth. This is called a lunar eclipse. When the entire moon is covered with the Earth's shadow, it is a total lunar eclipse, and the moon will usually take on a deep red color caused by light passing through the Earth's atmosphere. Pop quiz time! How much of the moon's surface is visible from the Earth? Well, due to the tilt of the Earth's axis, the eccentricity and tilt of the moon's orbit, the moon does not present exactly the same sight at all times as it circles the Earth. While changes are very slow and hence imperceptible to us, things like longitudinal, latitudinal, and diurnal librations caused by all the celestial mechanics, well, let's just say it can get complicated. Simply put, the moon tends to wobble in the sky, much like a coin spinning on a flat surface as it comes to rest. It also changes size both as the observer gets closer than farther away as the Earth rotates, as well as differences in the distance between the Earth and the moon as the moon follows its elliptical orbit. So while just half of the moon's surface is visible at any given moment, over time, 59% of the moon's surface will eventually become visible from the Earth. When weather conditions are just right here on Earth, small particles of ice in the atmosphere can cause moonbows and halos to be seen around the moon. These are caused by the refracting properties of ice particles and are physically similar to rainbows and sundogs. Beyond the moon are the visible planets. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn are all readily visible when their respective alignments allow it, and Uranus will sometimes become visible without the need for binoculars or a telescope. There are many apps available to refer to in order to find the planets in the sky. When a planet is very bright in the sky at sunset, it's sometimes called an evening star. If it's visible early in the morning, it's called a morning star. Now, while your eyes are wandering around the night sky, you might see a faint, fuzzy patch of light. These patches frustrated old-time observers as some were stationary and steady in the sky, while some changed and moved over time. The ones that are fixed in the sky, never changing, ended up being galaxies.
Entire collections of stars, just like our own Milky Way. The Andromeda Galaxy is considered the Milky Way's sister and can be readily seen with the naked eye. While you can't make out any details, it appears in the sky as a small fuzzy spot. Those spots that moved and changed over time are comets. These relatively small clumps of rock, dust, and ice would plunge into the inner solar system. As the ice heats up and evaporates as it gets closer to the sun, the escaping dust and vapor forms the tail. Comets were seen by many of our ancestors as harbingers of doom. Of course, no video about the night sky would be complete without mentioning stars. Those tiny pinpricks of light scattered all over the sky by themselves present an impressive sight. But if you look close, you will notice that not only are some stars brighter than others, but you'll notice they are different colors. Some are white, some are blue, some are red, and some are yellow. The color is due to the temperature the star is burning its nuclear fuel. And if you remember anything from grade school astronomy, you will remember two collections of stars, the Big Dipper and Orion. Collection of stars are called asterisms, and the 88 asterisms that have been formally adopted by the International Astronomical Union are called constellations. The history of some constellations predate recorded history, while some are rather recent inventions. And while they won't be official constellations, you can make up your own asterisms. Look at the night sky and what do you see in the stars? A car? A tent? An iPhone? Just like looking at clouds during the day, you can say, that looks like a... and fill in the blank. There are stars that are brighter than others, and most all of the bright stars have formal names. Many of them originated in ancient times. Rigel, Spica, Arcturus, Vega, Deneb. A popular stop on your tour of the night sky wouldn't be complete without a visit to the Seven Sisters, or the Pleiades. Although actually composed of more than 7 stars, the 7 brightest stars are what most people can see. It is a small cluster of stars nearer to the Earth than most and makes them a wonderful sight in the sky. Whenever 2 celestial bodies are close together, the event is called a conjunction. At least one of these bodies obviously needs to be a comet, planet, or other moving body. While a conjunction can seem to be of limited value to the layman, it can be an interesting and unusual sight. Now enough of this nature stuff. Let's talk about what mankind has done to the night sky. For over 60 years now, an increasing number of man-made objects are now flying around the sky. And if you look long enough, you'll see some of them. Tiny star-like specks of light slowly traveling from horizon to horizon. One of the more notable ones is the International Space Station. Easily visible from the ground, apps abound for information on where and when you can see it from your location as it passes through the night sky. And a multitude of commercial, military, and scientific satellites can be seen on any clear night. Just look up and wait. One will go by sooner or later. And satellite spotting can be a fun activity for kids of all ages. For several years, the Iridium satellites have been providing phone service all over the globe. Due to their boxy construction and large flat surfaces, they can suddenly appear as they move across the sky, increase in brightness for several seconds, and then slowly fade away. A relative newcomer to the satellite scene is the Starlink system. Bundles of small satellites are launched and placed into orbit as a group. When they align just right in relationship to you and the sun, you can see a Starlink chain pass overhead. Getting back to natural phenomenon, if you were close enough to either of the Earth's poles, space weather can bring you one of nature's grandest show in the sky, the aurora, the northern or southern lights. Almost everyone knows they exist, but few people actually seek them out just to watch them. If you're fortunate enough to see them, they can be stunning and mesmerizing. Another phenomenon, which was recently discovered, are called Sprites. They are visible above thunderstorm clouds off in the distance and are not fully understood at this time. But if you have a distant thunderstorm from your advantage, take a look over the clouds and you might see a ghostly pink or green flash reach up into the heavens. Although the sky might seem immutable and unchanging, every once in a while a new star appears. It seemingly comes out of nowhere and can even get bright enough to be seen during the day. These are nova and supernova. Essentially, they are stars that have exhausted their normal nuclear fuel, and in the process of dying and trying to convert heavier and heavier elements, they explode in a massive event that produces these bright stars. Another common sight in the night sky are meteors and meteor showers. Now, meteors are chunks of stone and iron, remnants from the formation of the solar system, and that are captured by Earth's gravity and plummet into the upper atmosphere at incredible speed. The friction between the meteor and the air creates so much heat that the meteor is usually destroyed. However, every once in a while, a meteor is large enough to survive the heat and strike the Earth's surface. It's estimated that about 500 strike the ground annually, from the size of a grape to a basketball. Between meteors and meteorites, about 30 to 100 tons of mass is added to the Earth's total every year. Now, this may sound like a lot, but even over 1 million years, this is still a billionth of the total. A very massive meteor can produce a very sudden flash of light, so bright that it's hard to watch it, security cameras are blinded, and these are called fireballs. Rare events, but can still happen a few times over a single person's lifetime. And what tour of the night sky would be complete without mentioning the granddaddy of all sights, the venerable Milky Way? Seen from a truly dark sight, it is one of the most spectacular, humbling, and awe-inspiring sights still available for free. One just needs to take the time to go look for it. So you can stay in your 5-star hotel. Me, I prefer my 1,000,000-star campsite.
And that's what there is to see in the night sky with the naked eye. So this is Backpack Cat coming at you with this trail tip. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment on my videos. Be safe out there, and I'll see you out on the trail.
Ooh.